Hello, everyone. Got a few dirty jokes for you today.
So a married couple are in bed one morning. "I had a really good dream last night," says the wife. "I dreamt that I was at a pecker auction. Long ones were going for $100 each and thick ones were going for $200. "Really?" says the husband. "What would mine have fetched? They were giving peckers like yours away for free," says the wife. "That's funny, actually," he replies, "because I had a dream that I was at a crotch auction. Juicy ones were going for $500 and tight ones were going for $1,000. "How about mine?" asks the wife. The husband smiled and replied, "That's where they were holding the auction." So a married couple are being intimate in the bedroom when suddenly the wife groans in pain and looks up at her husband. "Honey, take off your ring," she says. He gives her a confused look and replies, "That's not my ring, that's my watch." So, a newly married couple make their way to bed, and everything is going well until the bride shouts out, "Oh, look at that. What's wrong with it?" "It's just my junk," says the groom, offended. "Yes, but what's wrong with it? They're not supposed to look like that. It's all twisted." "That's what they look like," he replies. "Have you ever seen another man's junk?" the bride demands. "Well, no, but I'm normal." "This is what they look like." "No, they don't," she tells him. "It's warped. There's grooves all around it. It's supposed to be smooth and straight." Long story short, the argument isn't settled and the marriage remains unconsummated. Next day, the newlyweds are walking around town and the groom announces he needs the bathroom. "There's a public bathroom over there," says the bride. "And while you're in there, take a look at the man next to you to see if his thing is the same as yours." The groom goes in and returns in a few minutes, looking very crestfallen. "You're right," he says. "They are supposed to be smooth and straight, and I found out what I've been doing wrong." "What?" asks the wife. "Well, they all shake theirs dry, while I have been wringing mine out." So on the eve of his wedding, an American man named Tom was bursting with excitement about marrying his British bride, Lily. As the festivities wound down, his father pulled him aside in the glow of the reception hall, his voice brimming with patriotic pride. "Son," he said, "tonight, I want you to carry your wife in your arms to show her the U.S. is a strong nation. Then throw her on the bed to show her the U.S. is a proud nation. And finally, take off your clothes to show her the U.S. is a beautiful nation." Tom nodded eagerly, determined to make his father proud. That night, in their cozy honeymoon suite, he swept Lily into his arms, tossed her playfully onto the bed, and stripped down with a flourish, following his father's advice to the letter. The next morning, Tom met his father for coffee, still beaming from the big night. His father leaned in, eyes twinkling. "So, son, how was it?" Tom grinned. "Well, I carried her in my arms to show her the U.S. is a strong nation." "Good," his father said, clapping him on the shoulder. "Then I threw her on the bed to show her the U.S. is a proud nation." His father cheered, raising his coffee mug. "And then I took off my clothes to show her the U.S. is a beautiful nation," Tom added. "Very good," his father exclaimed. "And then what did you do?" Tom leaned back, a mischievous glint in his eye. "I pleasured myself in front of her." His father's jaw dropped. "What? Why on earth would you do that?" Tom smirked and said, to show her the U.S. is a free and independent nation. So 85-year-old Roger, a spry widower, married Jenny, a vibrant 25-year-old, in a charming spring wedding. Knowing her new husband's age, Jenny thoughtfully arranged for separate bedrooms, worried that spending the entire night together might overtax his energy. Roger, ever the gentleman, agreed with a knowing smile, eager to enjoy their new life together. After the wedding festivities, with music and laughter still echoing in their hearts, Jenny slipped into her nightgown and settled into her room, expecting a gentle knock. Sure enough, the door creaked open, and there stood Roger, her 85-year-old groom, looking surprisingly sprightly and ready for romance. They came together in a tender embrace, and all went delightfully well. Roger kissed her softly, bid her good night, and returned to his room as Jenny prepared to drift off to sleep. Barely 5 minutes later, another knock startled her. The door swung open, and there was Roger again, his grin as fresh as ever, ready for another round. Amused but intrigued, Jenny welcomed him, and they enjoyed another passionate moment. With a warm kiss, Roger wished her sweet dreams and left once more. Jenny, now cozy under the covers, was just closing her eyes when, knock knock, Roger was back, looking as eager as a 25-year-old. Chuckling at his enthusiasm, she indulged him again, marveling at his stamina. As they finished, Roger started to head for the door, but Jenny, glowing with admiration, stopped him. "Roger," she said, "I'm honestly amazed. At your age, you're performing so well and so often. I've been with men less than a third your age who could only manage once. You're truly an incredible lover." Roger, scratching his head with a sheepish look, paused and said, "Wait, you mean I've been here already?" So a married man keeps telling his wife, "Honey, you have such a beautiful butt." Every person in the town agrees that she does have a very beautiful butt. The man's birthday is coming up, so she decides to take a trip to the tattoo parlor and get the words "beautiful butt" tattooed on her ass. She walks in and tells the tattoo artist her husband thinks she has a beautiful butt. He looks and says, "You do have a beautiful butt." She then tells the man she wants "beautiful butt" tattooed on her ass. The man tells her, "I can't fit that on your ass. It takes up too much space. But I tell you what, I will. Tattoo the letter B on each cheek, and that can stand for beautiful butt." She agrees and gets it done. On the man's birthday, she hears him come home and is only wearing a robe. She then stands at the top of the stairs. He opens the door and she says, "Look, honey." She then takes off the robe she is wearing, bends over, and shows her new tattoo. The man sees it and yells out, "Who the hell is Bob?" So why are married men heavier than single men? Because when single men come home, they see what's in the fridge and go to bed. But when married men come home, they see what's in bed and go to the fridge. So, two virgins get married and go on their honeymoon. Unfortunately, neither knows what to do, so they call the groom's mother for advice. She suggests they sit together on the bed, kiss, snuggle, and let things happen naturally. The newlyweds follow her advice, but nothing happens. The groom calls his mother again and asks what to do next. She tells them to take off their clothes, get under the covers, and let nature take its course. They try this, but still nothing happens. Frustrated, the groom calls his mother once more. By now, she's exasperated and says, "Listen, dumbass. Just take the biggest thing you've got and stick it in her hairiest spot." The groom pauses for a moment, then asks, "Okay, so I've got my nose in her armpit. Now what?" So one sunny afternoon, Laura, a devoted wife, came home early from work, her arms full of groceries and a smile on her face. But as she stepped into the bedroom, her heart sank. There, in their marital bed, was her husband, Mark, locked in a passionate embrace with a young, attractive woman. The groceries hit the floor as Laura's voice erupted. "You cheating jerk," she shouted. "I'm calling my lawyer and divorcing you right now. After all the love and devotion I've given you for years, this is how you repay me." Mark, scrambling to cover himself, held up his hands. "Please, Laura, can you at least let me explain?" "Explain?" she snapped, crossing her arms. "Go ahead, but this better be good, because it's inexcusable." Mark took a deep breath, his voice earnest. "This morning, on my way to work, I saw this young woman on the street, barely clothed, barefoot, and clearly struggling. She begged for help, so I brought her here to give her some shelter. Remember those designer shoes I bought you that you tossed out because your friend had the same pair? I gave them to her, and she was thrilled. And those birthday clothes you threw away because you said they made you look fat? She loved them. Oh, and that steak I cooked last night that you refused because you're suddenly vegan? She ate every bite and was so grateful." Laura's eyes narrowed, but Mark pressed on. "Just as she was about to leave, she turned to me and asked, 'Is there anything else your wife doesn't want?'" So, a married couple is lying in bed one night. The wife is curled up, ready to go to sleep, and the husband turns his bed lamp on to read a book. As he's reading, he periodically reaches over to his wife and fondles her special bits. He does this a few times, but only for a very short interval before returning to read his book. The wife gradually becomes more and more aroused, and, assuming that her husband is seeking some encouragement before going further, she gets up and starts stripping in front of him. The husband is confused and asks, "Why are you taking off your clothes?" His wife replies, "You were rubbing me downtown. I thought it was foreplay." The husband says, "No, not at all." His wife asks angrily, "Well, what the hell were you doing then?" "I was just wetting my fingers so I could turn the pages in my book." So, a young, good-looking woman married an old man. The marriage was pretty good, except for the bedroom. The old man just couldn't please her. One day, they decided to go to the doctor. The woman told the doctor, "No matter how long or often we try, he just can't please me." The doctor said, "I have a solution for your problem. You guys have to find a younger man and take him with you into the bedroom." The old man was a little angry. "What the hell is the young man supposed to do?" he asked. The doctor replied, "The younger man will wave towel at your wife while you guys are intimate." So they found a young, good-looking guy who was willing to wave a towel at the old man's wife while he was trying to please her. They tried over and over, but he still couldn't please his wife. After many tries, his wife suggested to swap the men's roles. The old man wasn't very happy about it, but agreed. So the young guy got on his wife and they started having intercourse. The old man waved the towel at his wife and watched them. After a minute, his wife was finally pleased. And the old guy told the young man, "This is how you're supposed to wave the damn towel, you idiot." So, two deaf people get married. During the first week of their marriage, they find they're unable to communicate in the bedroom with the lights out. as they can't see each other signing or lip-reading. After several nights of fumbling and misunderstandings, they finally come up with a solution. The wife says, "Why don't we agree on simple signs? For instance, if you want to make love, squeeze my left breast once. If you don't want to make love, squeeze my right breast once." The husband agrees and replies, "Okay, if you want to make love, pull my pecker once. If you don't want to make love, pull my pecker 250 times." So a woman named Clara married her first love and welcomed 13 children into their joyful home. Tragically, her husband passed away. Undaunted, she married again, this time to a kind teacher, and they had 7 more children. But fate struck again, and her second husband died. Clara, ever resilient, remarried a gentle carpenter and had 5 more children, bringing her total to 25. After a full life, Clara herself passed away. At her funeral, the preacher stood before her flower-draped coffin and prayed, "Lord, we thank you for this loving woman." Now, at last, they're finally together. A mourner, puzzled, leaned toward her friend and whispered, "Does he mean her first, second, or third husband?" Her friend smirked and replied, "I think he means her legs." So a 4-year-old Timmy told his father, "Dad, I've decided to get married." His father, chuckling at his son's enthusiasm, leaned forward. "That's wonderful, Timmy. Do you have a girl in mind?" Timmy nodded eagerly. "Yes, Grandma. She says she loves me. I love her too, and she's the best cook and storyteller in the whole world." Dad's smile faltered, but he kept his tone gentle. "That's sweet, buddy, but there's a small problem." Timmy's brow furrowed. "What problem?" "She's my mother," Dad explained. "You can't marry my mother." Timmy tilted his head, unfazed, and shot back. "Why not?" "You married mine." So on the morning of Jack and Jill's wedding, Jack's father pulled him aside in the quiet of the church courtyard, his eyes gleaming with old-school wisdom. "Son," he said, "when I married your mother, the first thing I did when we got home was strip her naked, take off my pants, and hand them to her. I told her to try them on. She did, but they were huge on her. She said, 'I can't wear these, they're too big.' I looked her in the eye and said, 'Of course they're too big. I wear the pants in this family, and I always will.' Son, we haven't had a single problem since that day." Determined to start his marriage on the same note, Jack took his father's advice to heart. That night, in the glow of their honeymoon suite, he followed the script. He stripped Jill naked, took off his pants, and handed them to her. "Try these on," he said with a confident grin. Jill, raising an eyebrow, humored him and slipped on the pants. They hung comically large on her petite frame. "Jack," she said, laughing, "I can't wear these. They're way too big." "Of course they are," Jack replied, puffing out his chest. "I wear the pants in this family, and I always will." Jill paused, a sly smile creeping across her face. She slipped off her panties and handed them to Jack. "Your turn," she said. "Try these on." Jack, caught up in the moment, gave it a go, but the tiny garment wouldn't budge past his thighs. "What's the point?" he huffed. "I can't get into your panties." "Exactly," Jill shot back, her eyes twinkling with mischief. "And if you don't change that attitude, you never will." So, on a sunny Sunday morning, a married couple, eager for some intimate time, realized their young son, Tommy, was wide awake and full of energy. Wanting a moment to cuddle, they brainstormed a plan to keep him occupied. "Tommy," his mom called out with a smile, "go stand on the balcony and tell us if you see anything new in the neighborhood. Keep a sharp eye out." Tommy, thrilled with his important mission, scampered to the balcony, binoculars in hand, while his parents slipped back into the bedroom, giggling like newlyweds. They barely got started when Tommy's voice rang out, "Dad, Dad, the Myers got a new car." His dad, slightly out of breath, but trying to sound encouraging, called back, "That's great, Tommy. Keep looking for more new stuff." Tommy, ever diligent, scanned the street with enthusiasm. A few minutes later, he shouted again, "Dad, Dad!" "The Smiths have a lawnmower robot now." Panting but amused, Dad replied, "That's awesome, son. Keep watching, keep watching." Tommy continued his lookout, undeterred. After another few minutes, he yelled, "Dad, Dad, the Wilsons are screwing." The room went silent. Dad, caught off guard and utterly confused, paused mid-moment and called out, "Wait, how would you know that?" Tommy's voice came back, clear as day, because their son's been standing on their balcony, looking around for 10 minutes now. So not long after high school, Emily married her first love, dreaming of a fairy tale life. But her heart shattered when he ran off with another woman, leaving her to pick up the pieces. Determined to move on, she dove back into dating and soon fell head over heels for a charming new man. They wed, but her hopes crumbled again when he turned out to be a jerk who lashed out in anger, sometimes hitting her. Emily, strong and resolute, divorced him and vowed to keep searching for happiness. Years later, she met a third man who seemed perfect in every way, kind, attentive, and loving, except for one flaw. He was terrible in bed. Convinced their connection would improve with time, she married him anyway. But after a year of no improvement, she called it quits, her third marriage ending in divorce. Now thrice divorced, Emily decided to take control of her love life. She joined an online dating service, laying out her requirements with bold honesty. She wanted a man who would never hit her, never run off with another woman, and be exceptional in bed. 3 weeks later, her doorbell rang. Opening the door, she found a man in a wheelchair, with no arms or legs, smiling up at her. "Hello," he said confidently. "I think I'm your perfect man." Emily blinked, intrigued but skeptical. "Really? How so?" "Well," he replied, "I have no arms, so I'll never hit you. I have no legs, so I'll never run off with another woman." She paused, eyeing him carefully, then asked, "Okay, but are you good in bed?" He grinned and said, "I rang the doorbell, didn't I?" So two married buddies are out drinking one night, when one turns to the other and says, "You know, I don't know what else to do. Whenever I go home after we've been out drinking, I turn the headlights off before I get to the driveway. I shut off the engine and coast into the garage. I take my shoes off before I go into the house. I sneak up the stairs. I get undressed in the bathroom. I ease into bed and my wife still wakes up and yells at me for staying out so late." His buddy looks at him and says, "Well, you're obviously taking the wrong approach." He continues, "I screech into the driveway, slam the door, storm up the steps, throw my shoes into the closet, jump into bed, slap my wife's butt and say, 'Honey, come give me a kiss.' And she's always sound asleep." So a cook gets married and the bride is a virgin. On the wedding night, She cowers under the bedsheets as her husband undresses. He climbs in bed and tries to gently reassure her. "Darling," he says, "I know this is your first time, and you are very frightened, but I promise you, I'll give you anything you want. I'll do anything you want." "What you want?" "I would like number 69. She replies shyly. He says, "You want beef with broccoli?" So a man and woman, both married separately, had to share a room one night on a business trip. They feel weird at first, but they both fall asleep in their separate beds. After a few hours of sleeping, the man wakes the woman up and asks her, "Could you grab me another blanket from the closet? I'm really cold." The woman responds, "Or we could just pretend to be married for the night." The man replies, "That would be amazing." The woman smiles and says, "Okay, get your own damn blanket." So in the heat of a late-night argument, Emma and Tom, a married couple, faced off in their cluttered living room, their voices sharp with frustration. Fed up, Emma threw her hands up, ready to walk away from the fight. Tired, the wife tells him that she's going to pack her bags and go to her mother's house. "Okay," Tom replied, his tone defiant. "But the child stays with me." "What nonsense," Emma snapped, her eyes blazing. "How could you not have noticed? He's not even your son." Tom leaned forward, eyebrows raised. "What do you mean?" "No, your friend John is the real father. It's about time you knew." A sly grin spread across Tom's face. "I always suspected that." "Well, just so you know, he's not your son either." Emma burst into laughter, her voice dripping with disbelief. "What are you saying? How can it not be mine? I gave birth to it." Tom shrugged, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "Well, don't you remember that night in the hospital what you asked me to do?" "Yes, I asked you to take the child and change him." "Well," replied the husband, "that's exactly what I did." So Fred and Mary got married, but can't afford a honeymoon, so they go back to Fred's parents' home for their first night together. In the morning, Johnny, Fred's little brother, gets up and has his breakfast. As he is going out of the door to go to school, he asks his mom if Fred and Mary are up yet. She replies, "No." Johnny asks, "Do you know what I think?" His mom replies, "I don't want to hear what you think. Just go to school." Johnny comes home for lunch and asks his mom, "Are Fred and Mary up yet?" She replies, "No." Johnny says, "Do you know what I think?" His mom replies, "Never mind what you think. Eat your lunch and go back to school." After school, Johnny comes home and asks again, "Are Fred and Mary up yet?" His mom says, "No." He asks, "Do you know what I think?" His mom replies, "Okay, tell me what you think." He says, "Last night Fred came to my room for the Vaseline, and I think I gave him my airplane glue." So thanks to a very healthy lifestyle, a married couple lived well over 100 years. One day they are both killed in a tragic accident and go to heaven. On the first morning, they go up to God and ask where the gym is. "Gym," God replies, "You don't need to go to the gym here. You'll always be in perfect shape even if you never exercise." The wife says how nice that is, but the husband looks a little bit annoyed. In the afternoon, they go back to God and ask where they can get high-factor sunscreen. "This is heaven. You don't need it anymore. The sun can't burn you or give you cancer. Enjoy the beaches." The wife is satisfied, but the husband starts looking genuinely angry. Later in the evening, they go to God and ask where they can find a healthy food restaurant for dinner. We don't have healthy food restaurants. You can eat as much as you want of whatever you want and never feel bloated or gain any weight. Finally, the husband snaps and yells at his wife. You see? You see? If it wasn't for your bloody brawn muffins, I could have been here 40 years ago. So a Polish man moved to the US and married an American woman. Though his English wasn't perfect, they got along just fine. One day, he bursts into a lawyer's office and says, "I need a divorce." The lawyer replies, "Okay, that depends on the circumstances. Do you have any grounds?" Yes, an acre and a half, and a nice little house." No, I mean, what is the foundation of this case? Of course, it's made of concrete. The lawyer tries again. Sir, I mean, do either of you have a real grudge? No, we have a carport. We don't need grudge. Getting frustrated, the lawyer asks, "What are your relations like?" "All my relations are still in Poland." "Is there any infidelity in your marriage?" "We have high-fidelity stereo and DVD player." "No, I mean, does your wife ever beat you up?" "No, I always get up before her." The lawyer sighs. "Is your wife a nagger?" The man looks confused. No, she's white." Finally, the lawyer says, "Okay, then why do you want a divorce?" The man leans in and whispers, "She's going to kill me." "What? What makes you think that?" "I got proof. She buy bottle from drugstore. Put it on bathroom shelf. I read label. It says, polish remover."